actually think getting into the acting world is easy. When you're home and you're watching people on TV, you always think, oh, it must be really easy. It's just a knock, ba ba ba, hi, it's me, can I be a part of this production? And in reality, it just doesn't work that way, There's so many of us. Every single year, there's more than 400 students who graduate in film and television, as a matter of fact, or who graduate in the acting industry, and they want to make it through. They want a breakthrough. And every single year, we can't have 400 roles on TV. Not even in 2 years, not even in 3 years. They're always looking for 1-2 actors in a month. Hello everyone, it's Holly here. It is so exciting to bring to you another video. Today we are coming to you live from La Vida Loca Media Studios, and it is super exciting to be here. It's a very housely and warmly studio, and I really hope you are going to enjoy my content today and this video about myself and the acting business, and as well as my journey throughout the acting industry, because in this video I do want to share with you my experiences, the hardship in the acting industry, as well as the reality based on the acting industry as a whole. And it's going to be fun and exciting, so let's get started. Entering the acting business for me, I would say, was not the hardest thing to do. It was not the hardest decision to make. I would say I am from a rural area back in KZN, of which the industry, or such an industry, is seen as something that's very, very foreign. But I believe that the acting industry for me came as something very natural. I am naturally a person who loves telling stories, and that started from a very, very young age in primary school. I used to tell all sorts of stories. I used to write. I used to be very hyper and very, I used to be have an outstanding personality, and I would portray all kinds of characters. And for me, it was not really hard to know that I wanted to be in the business of the entertainment business. I do have parents who were both entertainers as well. They were magicians. So for me, that really gave me a get-go, because unlike the ordinary 10 or 9-year-old, I spent a lot of my weekends practicing or rehearsing for my parents' magic shows, because I would either participate in their performance as well, or I would just be around the audience and watch them. So for me, the feeling was really, really thrilling, just to be in a live audience, just to be able to make people smile and happy, just to be able to use your body and perform and make money in a very easy and effortless way. So I really enjoyed this from the young ages of 9 and 10. And as soon as I started growing as well, I started watching so many shows that really inspired me, and I would imitate all the shows. I'm sure a lot of actors say that. You start to, in a way, imitate a lot of shows. You imitate the lines, you imitate their presentation, in their delivery as well. And right there and then, I knew that it was something that I really wanted to do for the rest of my life. And whenever there's a weekend where I couldn't go rehearsing or couldn't be part of shows and perform with my parents, I knew that something was missing, and I would create the same atmosphere at home. So life at some point really changed drastically, and I had to move to a very rural area. So moving to the rural area, all these privileges obviously were eliminated. I could no longer be part of any shows. I lost my dad. I had to start life afresh and rediscover myself and my interests. And I would say it was a huge turn for myself, also trying to discover myself as a teenager at the age of 12, and as well as being in the rural area where they did not have all these extra activities, which include They didn't even have writing or any drama shows. They did not even have. I could no longer go to my to the shows that my parents performed in because there was no shows. They could not perform any longer. There was no reading. I couldn't read any shows or any books that inspired me. Nor could I watch any shows that really inspired me because of the disadvantaged living that I was surrounded by. And growing up through my teenage years, I knew that something was missing, and that something was something that I and only I alone could create of myself. Yes, I really had that missing part of me, which was my dad. He had obviously just left us, in terms of he had passed on, and we had my mom raising us, 8 kids on her own. We were in a very, very, very different style and way of living. However, I knew that I could still be happy and I could still become and create the person that I had envisioned of myself. I remember when I started entering high school that I had started being a part of all the activities that really brought about my personality and really brought about my opinions. I was part of a lot of debating shows. I was part of a lot of speeches and motivational talks. And this was really inside of me because what I remembered very well was that it really makes me happy being in front of an audience, being in front of a settlement where I can help people engage, where I can build and create people, and as well as where I can feel the most happiest, and that was in a live and being in the moment, and where I can more than anything interact and bring about my personality. So I did that throughout high school. And I already knew back then where my career was going with all the crazy interactions that I had with school activities and all the participation, the debates, the writing. I was good with literature from a very young age. And at that time, I just knew that I wanted to pursue something, and that was the television industry. So how did this begin? How I began with my journey into acting, I remember in grade 12, I had to, obviously that's the time where we apply ourselves to the courses and careers that we want to pursue, and I applied at a university. When I applied for drama and performances, which happened to be my first option. And it was crazy and bizarre because I was the first one and the only one who actually applied for something like that, with other career choices being very, very praised and encouraged at that time, and they included science and all the rest of the stuff. But I was a very smart kid growing up, and to just twist that and say I'm not going to go to the science stream, nor am I going to pursue a career in science, I'm going to take acting, I became a laughing stock. I remember when one of the students or the learners at the time saw my application and they read that it was written, I'm applying for drama and performances. So they started, the joke to say she's applying for acting. And the response that I got was, Queen Maroka, you want to be Queen Maroka? And I remember one of my teachers said at the time, guys, do not apply for acting because it's a waste of time. People who go acting are people who are naturally gifted with talents, and they just find them randomly on the streets. Just don't waste your 3 years trying to study for something that you can just do anytime. And after that, I was, obviously, I'd say a little bit embarrassed or humiliated. However, that did not stop in any way my journey of pursuing my acting career. So I did, in any case, pursue it, and I was accepted to the university, which was the Durban University of Technology. That was the most exciting news that I ever really had received. Applying to the Durban University of Technology has stages into it, and one day I will do I'll record a video on how people can apply for the acting course in different institutions, and the Durban University of Technology is going to be one of the places in which I will in detail instruct you guys on how to apply if you really want to be part of the acting or the drama department. So I had applied through the CAO, and there's stages to it, which include it includes an audition, it includes a test, and then you go back home. If you had passed that stage, you come back again, you do a second phase, which includes an interview and another audition, which is a monologue performance. And I am just going to tell you that my first audition into getting into the drama department was a mess, because at that time I did not understand what a monologue was, and I just had to figure out what would make sense and what would portray a character and what would portray my abilities. And I went to one of my English teachers. It was Miss Majindu, still love her to bits. She was the teacher who really supported me, either than my family, who was there even when I was, seen as some crazy somebody pursuing the acting as a career. She was there for me during the time where I had to learn my monologues, and I had to figure out my performances and my style. We rehearsed with her, and I cracked it in. I was purely excited. I was looking forward to beginning the year, which I did. And getting into the drama department and the drama studies, you get a lot of theory, you get a lot of practicals. And I really think that really helped bring about the best in me, because within the first 2 weeks, I actually already had discovered that I really had a talent and a skill which I was sharpening at the time in acting, and I really knew that it was what I wanted to do. So throughout my 3 years, I met the best people ever, which I still remember to date. It was an amazing place to be. The studies, I would say, really groomed me as a person. They really stretched me as an artist. And as well as I was in the department and studying, I just knew, and I had already written down where my goal is. And I would advise this to everybody else as well. If you are studying towards acting, or you're studying towards any career for that matter, it is really important to already have an idea or a vision of where you want to be, and always write that vision down, because you can easily get swallowed within the space that you're in. You can easily get swallowed by your surroundings and the people that you meet and the activities that take place, and you can easily lose your vision if you don't write it down and remember all the goals that you want to achieve for your personal self and your personal aspirations. Because at the end of the day, we do meet people in institutions, we do meet friends, but our goals aren't the same, and we aren't going to end up in the same place. And that is what I constantly reminded myself, regardless of anything that really happened during my 3 years of study, was that I am alone in this. I came from home to pursue this, and I did not do it because it's the easiest thing to do. No, studying drama isn't the easiest thing to do. You get the longest hours of rehearsal, you get the longest hours on campus, you get the least time with your family and friends, because all the focus goes on the craft. And people actually don't realize that as much as so many things that happened around me, I kept to the vision, and I just knew that in future, I really wanted to pursue film and television. So I think as well, I'll make a video on this part where I advise people as well on how to be able to differentiate on the kind of persuasion that you want in your career, because there's different paths. You could either choose to pursue stage for the rest of your life, stage and production. You could actually choose film and television. You could actually choose even writing, because I took writing as a speciality, and a whole majority and a list of things that you could either choose to pursue in the long run. And for me, I just knew that I wanted to focus on film and on television, because I had done so much of theater, and I just knew that I that was it. I wanted to stretch myself. I wanted to do something different, especially knowing that the department didn't really offer much film and television acting. So my stepping out of campus idea was, let me get to learn the acting and the business of television as well as film, so I get to train myself for on-camera acting, and as well as train and get myself ready for the industry. Getting ready for the industry was exciting for me because it wasn't hard to figure out that, okay, I'm done with my diploma, now it's time to pursue the real world. And the first things first, what I did, I was still on campus, I started applying for an agent. I went online, I looked for agents. I remember I started applying for an agent at my first year, which was 2013. I was very young, I was about 20, and none of the agents really replied. Well, my CV then, obviously, I don't blame them. I didn't have much work, and the manner in which I had represented it and myself, I think you could actually tell that I was pretty young and it was time for me to grow first. I just had to grow first. And I'm really glad that it didn't work out the first time, because as soon as I was ready on the year that I was graduating, before I even graduated, I decided, let me research on all the South African acting agents. As well, I will make a video on how to find yourself an agent, and a good agent, in order to step into the acting industry. I think that is also important to advise to any new actors, and as well as existing actors, on how to find a suitable agent for their persuasion in the acting industry. So I did a photo shoot kindly, and as well as I started sending my documents. I had 1 or 2 replies, and then I got an agent. When I got an agent, I remember that I received an email. I was in Germany. So we went to Germany in 2016 to do a Shakespearean show. I will make a video about that as well. I will share my entire Germany experience. It was amazing, and as well as the entire show experience on how it was performing the entire show and being part of such a prominent show, which was such a privilege. So I was in Germany during the time when I received an email back from my agent that they would like to see me for an audition. I got so excited. I remember I started thinking, what do agents look for? So obviously, if it's for an audition or if it's for an interview, it means I need to look good. It means as well I need to prepare a monologue. Which monologue am I going to use? It means you're going to have a slight chat with your agent about your vision in the industry. So I had to sit down and really think of, what do I need as a personally as an actor? What do I want to foresee in the future as well? So I had that brief chat with myself, because I do sit in front of the mirror and I pretend to be having those conversations. That really helps me into speaking words to myself and seeing them come to life, So I created that scenario in my mind, and on the day that as soon as I landed from Germany, and I booked a flight to Joburg 2 days after. So as soon as I landed, 2 days after, I booked a flight and I was on my way to Joburg. I had a fantastic meeting with my agent and they signed me in. So that was the beginning of the real world, the real deal. I was so excited. I wouldn't say I was nervous. In fact, I was looking forward to everything that was going to come with the entire experience. I just wanted to feel it, to see it, to be there already, to just walk in that space. And as soon as I had landed my first contract with my agent, of course, on the very same day, they told me that I have an audition. And they gave me a couple of tips into entering auditions, especially this audition, or that specific audition. And one tip that I will let you know that they told me about on that day was, it's always advisable, especially with us women, to bring an extra wig, to bring extra shoes. If you're on heels, bring extra flat shoes, or vice versa. Bring extra clothes, they told me stuff like that. So since that day, anytime that I go to auditions, I always bring extra clothes. If I'm on a long straight wig, I bring a curly short wig. If I'm on it, and I got used to wigs after that as well, because it really helps me become flexible. I can always rip it off if I want to and adjust to a new character. I can always change my looks on the spot, and I think that as well is really important for every actor to be able to adapt to. I will also make a video on that, on how to prepare for your auditions and how to also stand a better chance at being able to portray different characters at all auditions. So I went for that audition, which was, I think it was 2 days after I had just signed my contract. I did not have any place to stay at that time, because obviously I was still pretty much based in KZN. And so I had to make a few phone calls. I had a couple of friends who were staying up here in Joburg. Big shout outs and a thanks to them. They let me stay in, and I went to that audition. I can't say it went well. I can't say it went well, because it was my first film or my first television role audition. I was used to theater for the entire 3 years. We do theater in everything, like every single month and every single day we're rehearsing, we're doing theater. So the first time I just had to adjust to, number one, it's my first professional audition. Secondly, it's on camera. So I got feedback about that, thank goodness. And my feedback wasn't as good. Trust me, we all start somewhere. I'll also make a video where I explain to you guys of my first times in everything, because I believe everybody has a first time in everything, and our first time in anything isn't always perfect. There's a reason why we should make mistakes on our first time of attempting anything, just so we could be able to correct our mistakes and do better the next time. So my first acting audition wasn't good. Simple as that. My first voiceover professional work wasn't good at all. I was embarrassed, as a matter of fact. My first voiceover rehearsals were bad. I think a first time to anything always leaves you with lessons and things that you should go back home and look at as homework and see where you can fix and where you can go better or do right. So that's what happened with my first audition, and that was a while back. Since that first audition, I have been to a while and another while of auditions, and it's just been auditions after auditions after auditions. So, one thing I really want to talk to you about as well is the reality of the acting business. People actually think getting into the acting world is easy. When you're home and you're watching people on TV, you always think, oh, it must be really easy. It's just a knock, ba ba ba, hi, it's me, can I be a part of this production? And in reality, it just doesn't work that way, There's so many of us. Every single year, there's more than 400 students who graduate in film and television, as a matter of fact, or who graduate in the acting industry, and they want to make it through. They want a breakthrough. And every single year, we can't have 400 roles on TV. Not even in 2 years, not even in 3 years. They're always looking for 1-2 actors in a month. And most of the time, the truth that people don't really talk about is that they use the same faces in our television industry. And the reason for that is because we haven't really grown as an industry. However, we are growing, and we're growing gradually. And so for now, what really helps the television industry is for directors to either work with people who they already trust, or people who already are in the space, and it really makes it hard to just break it through for many reasons, which I would like rather to just have a separate video about it as well. But my experience overall in the acting industry it's been really eye-opening. I have learned the do's and don'ts of audition spaces. Especially now we are doing self-tapes. I think with self-tapes as well, I've gotten used to the fact that we have to do a lot of things digitally. I would like to do a video very soon as well on how to do self-tapes and the tips on how to perfect your self-tape as well. So I have had my ups and downs during the acting industry because as well, you can't live off of auditioning. You have to find a job and make a living and sustain a living. So when I started moving up to Joburg to finally just kick ass, well, I thought I was just going to do it as simple as that. I never thought that there would be a time where I had to just hustle so hard just to sustain a living. And it took me a while to accept that. I just did not want to. I just always said, no, there's an audition. I know I'll make it through. There's an audition, just one more. I know it's going to work. It's going to work. And someone sat me down and said, don't. You're hurting yourself. Find a job. Find a job to sustain you because you can't guarantee with the acting industry as well. Okay. Let's say for argument's sake, I had a role. The role won't be forever. Unfortunately, that's what happens in this industry. The role perhaps wouldn't be forever. 3-4 months down the line, you no longer have a role. Then what? Do you have to re-hustle again? There's always those period of times where actors just don't work at all. So during the time where I haven't had gigs, what I would usually do is I had kind of part-time jobs when I could. Sometimes it was just even hard to get those jobs alone, as well as I did a lot of free work. I did a lot of free work, and that really helped me build my resume, and it helped me build my show reel as an actor, because all the free work, you really don't even think about it in that time, that you can always gather that free work and it will work to your advantage in the end. I gathered all the free work that I had been doing throughout the years, and it really helped me in the long run because I've been able to build a show reel, and I advanced and enhanced as well my skills. I got to learn the production side of acting as well. I got to learn how to be on set around other actors, and that really helps you become comfortable as an actor. It opens up your eyes to be able to learn the depth of acting, especially when you are a part of a lot of productions and a part of post and pre-productions, which I would advise any actor to do. Be curious about the post and pre-production as well, and not just being in front of the camera. Also part of the journey, I remember that 1 or 2 times I became homeless. I will have a separate video about that as well. I've even had to make a living through selling on the streets. I had to just come up with an idea of how I'm going to make a living, so I was a street vendor to sustain me, because I knew that I couldn't give up. I couldn't give up no matter how hard things would get. The last thing I ever wanted to do is to get my bags, to go home and to let them know that I'm back and I couldn't do this. Because not only am I disappointing my family, I'd be letting myself down. I did not want to know myself as a failure, because whether you give up or you don't give up, time still moves forward. And when that time arrives for you to be where you should be, the question is, are you prepared? Are you ready? So the mentality of always reading and listening to things that inspire me really helped me realize that preparation is everything. And in that journey, I learned that preparation and luck, more than anything, comes when it meets preparation. So I've always prepared myself. I've always either practiced a lot of monologues. I've always practiced on screen, on my phone even. I've also as well I would do anything to prepare myself fitness wise, because you already have an idea of who you want to look like when you get into the industry. So you become that person internally and externally. You work on yourself. And I just kept saying that I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. And I still am going, you know. So the reason why I want to open up to the series of these videos as well, which I'm grateful to have the privilege and the honor to, is because I want to help someone else who is struggling to make a breakthrough in their career, especially in this entertainment industry as well. I want to open up their eyes to so many things, and I want to guide them step by step on how to go through, because sometimes our calling and our purpose in life, you know, is just to help somebody. You know, I've helped a lot of people whom have really succeeded, and when your time hasn't come yet, you just know that sometimes in life you put in a position where you've got to push some other people. And I know all these lessons and all these videos are going to be of value to somebody else. They're going to help change their life and perspective about the acting industry as a whole, and they're going to really motivate them as well and help them just get started and push them somewhere. And that's what I want to do with the series of these videos. I really want to help somebody. So finally, we've come to the end of the video, and in closing, I do want to say it's such a privilege to be joined by you, and I really hope you found this video helpful if you're trying to step into the acting industry, as well if you were wondering the ins and the outs of the industry, which I haven't got in depth in yet. However, as I said, there's a couple of videos that I really want to talk about in depth. But for this video, we have come to the end. And if you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, please do join the family so you'll be the first to be notified of the new content. As well as you can like and share this video. Comment down below on what kind of content you would like to talk about in this channel, because we do all of these together. It's our channel that we're forming into bringing people up and to making them better people. It is such an honor. We have come to the end of the video, and until the next video, I'm Holly, and thank you guys for watching. Bye bye.